why do so many people feel like they're alone?
We have the greatest mental health crisis that we've ever had in the past 100 years. We have higher rates of depression, higher rates of addiction, higher rates of suicide, higher rates of anxiety. But in fact, there's really only one ailment, which is an ailment of perception.
Really?
We perceive that we are alone. We perceive
Mm,
great separateness, great isolation. That is an atrophy of the awakened brain. The number one illness of our time is an illness of perception.
wow.
And it is our ability right here, right now, to flip the switch and engage our awakened brain.
Mm. It's so true because when I think about the times when I was in my younger years, teen years, maybe even in my 20s, when I had more of I kind of lived two different lives because in some moments I was very joyful and loving and positive. In other moments I was like, everyone hates me and I'm alone and I'm a loser. I kind of had like these two different worlds I'd go back and forth on. And it was based on um, how I would perceive experiences, moments, people saying things, people not saying things, results I would get or wouldn't get. It was based on my perception of what was actually happening around me. And when that perception started to shift over time, and I learned to cultivate it by not taking things personally, by not looking at everything as I'm bad and wrong, or by looking at, okay, I failed at this thing. It doesn't make me a failure. And reimagining what that actually is for me, it's actually a good thing. I'm learning, I'm developing. It's when I learned to perceive differently, I
Mm.
learned to just feel better in general, right? As opposed to go back into this disconnected mindset.
Disconnected, splintered,
Uh-huh.
lonely, right?
Yeah.
And actually, as you say, with such wisdom, that is an illusion of perception.
Interesting.
I can sit in a room with 400 people and 390 of them feel totally alone. But Louis, there's 400 people in the room. It's a choice to perceive the presence of others as being
Mm-hmm.
in sisterhood and brotherhood with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice to perceive communion.
Man's Search for Meaning, I think, is such a great example of that, where it's how you create the meaning from a situation that determines whether you're going to have a good experience or a bad experience, or continue to live after that experience in pain and suffering or more peace around it.
Well, it's very interesting, though. Science shows us that pain and suffering actually is a knock at the door to awakening.
Really?
That the brain is literally primed in times of pain and suffering to potentiated. The brain is potentiated to widen the lens, let in more light,
Mm,
and start to feel closer to God, closer to the Creator. So suffering is in our brain. Suffering can be an accelerant, a precondition for an awakening.
most people don't want to suffer, so they think, oh, is that the only way to stay connected to God or my
Well,
creator is to like
cer-
pain and suffering all day? It's like no one wants that.
well, it's not the only way.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly it's not the only way. But it's very helpful to know that if we're stuck, if we feel kind of blah, just that low grade blah, like
Hmm.
I don't quite have the life I want, and I don't quite feel right within myself, the offness,
Uh-huh.
that is actually an invitation to try to pray,
Hmm.
try to meditate, try to open up your heart to the Creator.
Yeah.
And we're actually better at it if we get a little push.
The more pain you go through, it's reminding you you're out of alignment. Usually
Yes.
it's like, I'm suffering, I'm pain. Why did all these things keep happening to me? Why is everything a challenge and so hard? Why am I not making money? Why does everyone break up with me? Why does everyone say no? It probably means you're disconnected to yourself. You're out of alignment. You're out of boundary. Something is off. So this pain is going to keep showing you something is out of alignment within yourself, most likely. And when you can hopefully now get closer to what that is and connect to yourself, hopefully you'll find ways to release the pain.
And there's no better way to draw into alignment than to be an open system and allow the force of
That's
life to
true.
align you.
That's true.
Very often in the 20th century, the brain was thought of as a factory that makes thoughts. And if we're out of alignment, how can I think my way out of this?
Hmm.
In the 21st century, the brain, Lewis, is thought of as an antenna that receives consciousness, a conduit. If I feel out of alignment, I can raise the antenna and, what God do you ask of me now?
Mm.
Hand it over. We are built to hand it over every day of our lives. We are built, Lewis, as an open system to be in a sustained relationship with the Creator.
Mm. Yeah. And so if your brain is like an antenna
Yes.
and you're constantly covering your antenna with things that don't let you to have a clear signal to God or to access to information or being resourceful or perceiving the world in a specific way, you're always going to feel disconnected because you're covering your antenna. That's what I'm hearing you say.
And yet, every one of us in the next 20 seconds can raise the antenna
Uh-huh.
and open our heart, open our soul, and say, I'm here. I love you, God. I love you, Creator, whatever your word is. Be present to receive. Because the awakened brain, through the lens of science, is a receptive form of perception. The
Mm.
circuits in our brain are built to receive the presence of God,
Is the human brain physically wired for scarcity or spirituality?
spirituality.
Then why are so many people living in scarcity?
Right. It is an ailment of perception. Exactly. We have tremendous abundance.
Uh-huh.
We have abundance. In any given moment, we have a decision to make. We have two choices. We can make an achieving decision.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm sitting next to this new person at a dinner party. What can they do for me? Let me size them up. Are they bigger or smaller than me? That is called an achieving relationship. I'm measuring them up as if we're about to be
Mm-hmm.
competitors in a
Mm-hmm.
race, right? But at that same dinner party by the same person, in that same moment, I can make an awakened decision. I can realize that, wait a minute, this person sitting next to me, here's another soul on earth. Of all people, in all space and time, right now, God has put me next to this person. And so I can ask a very simple question. Tell me about you. I'd love to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about the funniest day of your life? Can
Mm-hmm.
you tell me about the most beautiful moment? So, Lewis, I was at a dinner party the other night and I couldn't listen one more peep about who'd accomplished what and who paid what rent. I didn't want
Yeah,
to hear
yeah.
it. So I said, can you tell me about the most beautiful day of your life? And what came forward
Mm-hmm.
from that dinner party, I'll remember forever. One man talked about being in, after years and years of feeling disenfranchised, returning to his childhood house of worship. One woman talked about seeing light on the water as she was sailing. These were
Wow.
beautiful moments. And I walked away feeling like I'd actually made awakened relationships,
Versus
not
achieving relationships.
versus achieving relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the best way to do it, I think, maybe not the best way, but is when you go in to an event, knowing that everyone's always thinking of like these strategies
Yeah,
for building relationships to get something. And if you're just a constant way of being is, I'm just here to ask questions about others and learn about them, you're going to gain more than you've ever gained by trying to go in there and accomplish or strategize. If you just go in and ask people questions and listen, you're going to be the most interesting person in that room. Just by asking questions and being present, they'll be like, wow, I really like that person. What can I do to help you? They're just going to want to naturally help you because most people don't do that.
because you care about them.
Exactly. Exactly. That's powerful. I love the idea of awakening relationships versus achieving relationships.
We have a radically transactional culture.
Uh-huh.
When we silenced spiritual and religious life in the public square about 40
Mm.
years ago,
Mm.
we don't talk about this here. People became all about business all the time. Now we're at a turning point, and the hunger of the heart is so great right now
Yeah.
for true love, real relationships, to move out of narrow, monotonous
Mm.
achieving relationships
Hmm.
and start to bring in awakened
Yeah,
relationships.
more depth, beyond just results. And, there's a quote from your book, The Spiritual Child, that says on page 28, that says spirituality is a vast, untapped resource in our understanding of human development, illness, health, and healing. Specifically, research in medicine and psychology has found that people with a developed spirituality get less sick, are happier, and feel more connected and less isolated. And your data shows that a robust spiritual life is the single most protective factor against adolescent depression and substance abuse. I'm curious, why is spirituality more effective than other forms of therapy or support?
The adolescent is in a search for meaning, not
Mm-hmm.
because they choose to be, not because it's a cultural norm. It is hardwired. Because spirituality is innate, it has a developmental path. In adolescence, with literal biological puberty, the adolescent goes through a surge, a biological clock goes off for every teen. What is my purpose? What is my meaning? And I don't mean, is it going to be, law or
Yeah,
business?
doctor or this. Yeah, yeah.
What is my purpose as a soul on earth?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean what meaning do I want to make of this world, lie upon the world. What is the meaning written into life, the golden thread through life? The teen is exquisitely good at seeking.
Mm-hmm.
We're built for it. But it doesn't come easy because with this expansion, hardwired expansion in our spiritual capacity, the teen can feel a half empty glass of spirituality,
Mm-hmm.
existential struggle, meaninglessness, exquisite rage at phoniness
Mm-hmm.
when things aren't true.
Kind of
And
what's the point of all this? Yeah,
what's the point?
yeah.
And yet, this is a gift, even though it hurts and it's hard. It's very easy to get distracted as a teen, start using drugs, drink a lot, harm yourself. But actually, this struggle, this existential yearning, angst of the teen propels the teen to search for God, to search for their higher power. And even their brain is sensitized to discover, to raise the antenna.
Wow.
The teen is sensitized to raise the antenna and start to receive the signals from God.
How hard is it for an adolescent or a young adult to raise their antenna to connect to God and be more spiritual when they're on drugs, when they're smoking or vaping or drinking or mindlessly on their phone for 15 hours a day, when they're not sleeping well? How hard is it for them to connect to spirituality and God?
Right? This is not a solo act. Every teen needs the Sangha, the Minyan, the journey group, the fellowship. You need your people who engage in authentic spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a teen who's drinking, who's self harming, yes, of course they need therapy, but therapy alone is not enough. There needs to be a group, a youth group, a Sangha, a group around the teen of people who feel God's presence
Mm,
and talk about it. Every teen needs their spiritual people,
yes.
their spiritual buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And they may be in school, they may be out of school.
Right. I mean, you've been a professor and a researcher at Columbia for over 25 years. And you also have, you know, kids who went through teen years. What was that like for you when your kids were teens, you know, with you as the expert, the researcher, the spiritual leader of the family in certain ways of hopefully guiding them? Did they struggle just like every other teen? Did they go down the dark side for a while? Did they have these practices? How did they navigate this?
So, spiritual individuation, the me and not me of what's real,
Mm-hmm.
is God real? Does prayer speak to me? What's good and evil? What's the purpose, spiritual purpose of my life? That can only be done by the teen themselves.
Really?
No matter,
Yeah.
we can support them,
Yeah.
but it is built into our hardwired brain
Gosh.
that spiritual individuation is a road we all must walk ourselves.
Wow.
Now, to have a youth group, to have a family around you, to have a group with whom you share the spiritual reality, put it in words, pray together, know that our relationship goes to that depth. This gives the 2/3 nourishment onto the 1/3
Mm-hmm.
innate awakened brain.
Mm-hmm.
It is not enough to be born spiritual. We need to cultivate our spiritual awareness. And when, as a parent, we walk the walk and talk the walk, when we say, today mommy was really out of sorts. I'm so sorry I was grumpy. I'm so sorry I was short with you. I apologize. But also, now that I've apologized to you, will you join me in a prayer because today was a gift.
Hmm.
And I feel I kind of squandered it. And the prayer might be whatever your words are in our home. Loving God, please forgive me and renew my heart that I might be present to your great love.
Mm.
And we might be present as a family to your love.
Wow.
So that you're back off to the races. Anything can be fixed.
Yes.
And when, as parents, we show our kids there's a spiritual response to a misstep, a spiritual response to suffering, what they really learn is that they can fix their lives spiritually.
That's beautiful, because it's hard to fix your life physically. It's hard to fix it through physical means in terms of I'm going to smoke, drink, do physical harm to myself to feel like that's going to make me feel better. The physical numbing, I guess, of life is what I mean.
Through the lens of science, adolescents are exquisitely sensitive to both spiritual hunger, but also to pain.
Why is that?
We're an open system. We're
Mm.
porous, we're wide open. And right at the time where we're strengthening and tooling up spiritually, we're at greatest risk to turn the wrong direction and make the pain go away.
Really?
And in fact, the protective benefits of spirituality against addiction are greatest in adolescence. All our lives, spirituality can help prevent drinking and drugs, but in adolescence, it is twice as protective to
Wow.
have a strong spiritual life.
And is there any data around kids who don't have a strong spiritual life, if they get into more drugs or have children younger, or I don't know, go through abuse or anything like that? Do you have any data on that?
For a teen, a strong spiritual life is 80% protective against onset of addiction.
Really?
Adolescence being the trailhead of a lifetime course of struggle with addiction. A strong spiritual life is 70% protective against risk taking, driving too fast, jumping out the window at a party. A strong spiritual life, to the epidemic of our times, when spiritual life is shared by teens, it is 82% protective against completed suicide.
Really?
The number one killer of teens is now suicide. It has surpassed auto accident. So, Lewis, if I said, here's a little pill, and you can give this to your teen, and it will protect them 4/5 against the greatest cause of death in teens, who wouldn't give that to their child?
Wow.
And yet, to realize our natural spirituality is how we're built. Every parent has two jobs. One is to love your child, and the second is to build their spiritual core.
Mm.
And everything else will fall into place.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this and you want more inspirational content, make sure to click the subscribe button below and click right here to watch what's coming next.